Today we are looking at one of the most deceitful mushrooms in existence, and it has that very name, Amethyst Deceiver. Why is it called this? Why is she purple? And can I eat this mushroom? All questions that shall be answered in this episode of Meet the Mushroom. Hello, my name is Holly and I turn mushrooms into characters. Specifically, I make mushroom trading cards, and if you are interested in seeing the full process on how I made this specific trading card, you can visit the behind the scenes video here. Oh look, there's our special guest now. There she is. Wow, she is really a gorgeous violet color. So let's learn a little bit more about her. When you first lay eyes on the Amethyst Deceiver, she looks a little bit like Yzma from Emperor's New Groove with this all-around purple color. She belongs to the Hydnangiaceae family and has a very deep violet color, all the way from her cap, gills, to stem. She is just fully dripping out in this purple color. But there is one thing about her that kind of breaks this purple theme, and it is her spore print. This is a big clue in identifying this mushroom apart from other purple mushrooms in the forest. If you place her cap down on a piece of paper and wait overnight, you will see a spore print begin to appear. This is a way that a spore print is kind of created. Spores will naturally fall off of the underside of the cap, right there. She leaves behind a very white, crisp spore print. And this is good information for later in the episode when we discover the dangerous lookalikes. Because not all purple mushrooms are created equally. Some are villains. And maybe she is a villain. I mean, her name is Deceiver, so. One of the best ways to identify the Amethyst Deceiver is that she's small, she's purple, and she leaves a white spore print. That's our girl. Here's where it gets really interesting. She goes by the name Amethyst Deceiver, and she actually earns this nickname. When she's young, she is a head-turning purple color, but as she ages, she actually dries out and becomes a more dull color. She can almost turn into a white because her color fades that much. She's giving very much Yzma turns into cat energy. One moment a dramatic purple, and the next something you just don't recognize. This is why this mushroom is mostly misidentified. Amethyst Deceiver. It's all making sense now. She was described all the way back in 1778 by William Hudson, and scientists have been fascinated with her ever since. This mushroom can also appear way more purple when it rains. When this mushroom has a lot of moisture on it, it definitely appears way more colorful than maybe it actually is. This is why whenever this mushroom dries out, it kind of loses its color entirely because it needs that water to retain its color. She also has a talent most mushrooms can only dream of, and it definitely is giving more of a villain-like power because this mushroom can absorb toxic metal chemicals. This is great for the environment, but totally terrible for foragers. If you decide to forage for this mushroom, definitely be aware of where this mushroom is, because if you decide to pluck it and eat it, because this mushroom is technically edible, you could have heavy metal poisoning, arsenic poisoning to be exact. Because this mushroom is so good at her job, she just soaks up everything from the soil, and this could be very dangerous if you're picking this mushroom in a contaminated area or near an industrial site. So, you have been warned. So, can you eat her? Technically yes. So, apart from soaking up poison, she's technically considered an edible mushroom. She definitely fades to a brown color, which kind of defeats the purpose of picking this mushroom. And in my opinion, I think whenever you find a cool mushroom, you want it to stay that color. Whenever it fades to brown, it's kind of sad. So technically speaking, you could eat this mushroom if you cook it. But basically, this mushroom is presumed to be too pretty to eat. And maybe we should just leave it that way. We don't really want arsenic. I mean, I don't. Her stems tend to be kind of too tough to bother with, so most foragers are left with the cap to eat. But again, arsenic. Yeah, she really is just like a little villain. But yeah, I mean, everything that I've read is just saying like, yeah, these mushrooms are really great for the environment because they soak up all these toxins and they're edible. And I'm like, what? Make it make sense. Why do we want this? Why do we want to eat this mushroom? Moving on to climate and ecological role. The Amethyst Deceiver is a mycorrhizal fungus, which means that she is a team player. Apart from being a villain, maybe literally, she really likes trees. I love it when mushrooms love trees. It's so cute. Mycorrhizal mushrooms have symbiotic relations with trees under the soil with the roots. Itzma would never share resources willingly, but the Amethyst Deceiver is kind of different. You could say she grows well with others. I'm only gonna be the one that finds this stuff funny. You will generally find this mushroom in deciduous forests across Europe, North America, and Asia. She is usually nestled in with leaf litter or moss under the trees. Because it likes trees, it likes trees. She usually makes an appearance through late summer or fall, or autumn. As most mushrooms, the fruiting body, which is the mushroom outside of the soil, only lasts a couple of days, maybe a week, and then she's gone. And like I said before, starts out with this really vibrant, beautiful purple and fades off into the forest. So definitely seeing this mushroom with your eyes is a sight to behold. She really is here today, spore tomorrow. Because spores are... Now this is where we have to be careful because the forest is full of purple mushrooms. Purple mushroom, purple mushroom, purple mushroom. And not all of them are as friendly or not friendly as the Amethyst Deceiver. So it is good to know which ones are which so you can tell the difference. First, we have the violet Cort. This mushroom does be looking very similar. I actually did an entire other video for this mushroom if you want to check her out. But let's talk about why this mushroom is very similar in relation to the Amethyst Deceiver. So right off the bat, you can definitely tell that the violet Cort mushroom is taller, thicker, and she's a darker purple color. Overall, just like the bigger sister to the Amethyst Deceiver, in my opinion. The violet Cort has a slightly like scaly almost texture to the cap, a lot more fibrous and thick, just in general kind of a meatier girl. Her gills start out as the same color as the rest of her with the violet color, but they kind of turn into a more brown color as she ages, kind of similar to the Amethyst Deceiver. She's definitely giving more of an evil queen from a Tim Burton movie more than our Amethyst Deceiver. But definitely the biggest clue to tell these two apart is the spore print. The violet Cort leaves a rusty brown spore print and the Amethyst Deceiver leaves a white one. So this is a very good clue to have in case that one or the other is kind of similar in size if they're aging at the same pace, to kind of tell which one is which by the spore prints. Then you don't misidentify them and die. As far as edibility goes with the violet Cort, it is heavily debated. So for this instance, it is good to just look with your eyes and not pick this one to consume. Because the violet Cort has a lot of really dangerous mushrooms in her family. You just don't want to be messing with don't mess with her family. So whenever it comes to the violet Cort, it is just safe to say, don't. Just leave it alone. Leave it alone. No mushroom is worth that amount of capital punishment. Dangerous lookalike number 2 is the Lilac Bonnet. This mushroom can be very similar to our Amethyst Deceiver. She almost looks like a faded version because she's not as purple. She's almost like this, like the color of my shirt here. Kind of a little bit paler, taking a little bit of a step back. Almost a lilac color, who would have thought that? From a distance, she definitely looks very similar, but up close, it's kind of easy to tell the difference. I like to describe her as kind of the knockoff version from the Amethyst Deceiver. Like, you can spot the difference, but they do be looking a little bit similar. But besides looks, there's a very easy way to spot the difference, and that is to use your sense of smell. The Amethyst Deceiver, I didn't really mention her smell, but she basically just smells like a regular mushroom. Earthy scent is what all of the internet is saying. Like, I know what dirt smells like, but like earthy, I don't know. But the biggest tall tale sign is the smell, because one smells like an earthy smell and the other smells like radishes. The Lilac Bonnet smells exactly like radishes. It's basically the equivalent of like seeing a villain revealed, like, oh, she looks super innocent. Hiya, she's the villain, oh my gosh. Because this mushroom is toxic. Unlike the Amethyst Deceiver, who maybe is edible and you'll get a little bit of arsenic, who knows, the Lilac Bonnet will actually cause a tremendous amount of gastrointestinal distress, which is just a big thumbs down. Her spore print is also white, which can be a little bit tricky because our Amethyst Deceiver's one is white as well. But when in doubt, just smell it first. So if she smells like a salad topping of radishes, just walk away. That's not our girl. And our third lookalike is the wood Blewit. And unlike the others, she's actually a very well-loved mushroom and is very much edible. She's definitely the chaotic good of the lineup. She can definitely cause problems though if you're not paying attention. She's larger and more robust than the Amethyst Deceiver, with a very rich purple color of the cap that slightly turns to brown as she ages. She has very crowded gills that are purplish pink colored and a very sturdy stem that is purple, but it also fades to more of a white towards the base. Think of her as the Kronk in the trio. Technically on the wrong side, but ultimately harmless and a lovable character. So the key difference? Her spore print is more of a pink color actually, which I love to see a pink girly, yes. The pink tint is an indicator that this is a Blewit and not a Deceiver. The Blewit is edible only if it is fully cooked. This is just a general rule for mushrooms. If you're eating them raw, there is a very high likelihood that they could upset your stomach, because even eating an edible mushroom, and this mushroom in specific, the wood Blewit, it will cause gastrointestinal distress. Basically, with the wood Blewit, always make sure she is well done. The good news is, if you want to see the Amethyst Deceiver for yourself, you can probably find her. She's a very common mushroom. She is usually considered quite common, although this mushroom doesn't really sell for a lot of money and it's not really produced commercially. It is very cool to see this mushroom in the forest. Honestly, I think it would be such a cool experience if I could just find this mushroom walking along a trail in the forest. So cool. But now that we have talked about all of the dangerous lookalikes, let's go ahead and take a quiz to see if you can spot the difference. I always have all of the answers right after the questions, so you will tell which one is which very easily. So without further ado, here is the game, Guess That Mushroom. Welcome back from the quiz. How did you do? Do you feel confident to see and spot this mushroom in the forest? If not, do the quiz again. To conclude this episode, that is the Amethyst Deceiver. Tiny, purple, and a little bit dangerous. She changes her look on a whim, soaks up potentially poisonous material, travels the whole globe, and is all around just a cute, adorable little mushroom. She is without a doubt one of the cutest and most unique mushrooms that I feel like I have learned about so far. And unlike Itzma, she doesn't need a secret potion or a llama to be iconic. She just is. If you would like the trading card for the Amethyst Deceiver, I have it available. And if you would like to join my mushroom club, I actually create these every single month. And if you would like to get them as I make them, I will send them to your door. You can also join my mushroom club for free just to see what I'm doing. And you can also see the behind the scenes video where I show the entire process of how I made this trading card and the stickers that go along with it. If you would like to stay connected with me, you can go ahead and subscribe, like this video, because I'll be making lots of episodes about mushrooms. If you would like to see any more trading cards that I've made, you can visit susrooms.com. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see y'all in the next one.